Welcome to episode 52 of the POG Show, the Port Orange Government Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Springer, the Public Information Officer for the City of Port Orange. And today we are joined by Sergeant Dean Gaver here with the patrol of our Port Orange Police Department. Talk a little bit about some of the things they have going on here. It's been a very busy fall for you guys. I know school started up there in August, so you're doing a lot of traffic and education enforcement with that. And you also have a campaign right now that you're running through. Just started earlier in October, the high visibility enforcement kind of through FDOT there. This is more of an education versus an enforcement campaign, correct?
Yes, although we do both. It's more of a education. It's called high visibility enforcement. What that means is they want to see us out there. They want us to be visible to the public, whether that's, when we pull somebody over or prior to, sitting in a median, sitting on a corner, watching an intersection. It's for pedestrian and bicycle safety.
Is it just because you're seeing a lot of issues with pedestrians and bikes and accidents, or kind of what's the reason for doing the campaign overall?
The campaign is based off a grant from FDOT. They get all their information from traffic crash reports. If you've ever seen a traffic crash report, it has multitude of boxes and check marks and all that. And what they do is they get all the stats off of that. Any crashes that are bicycle or pedestrian related, regardless of who's at fault. It could be the car, it could be the bicyclist. That all gets tabulated, and they do, for the whole state, they come up with the, I don't know what you want to call the unsafest or the ones with the most problems or the most crashes for bicycles and pedestrians. From there, FDOT gives it to IPTM or the University of North Florida, and they set it up and they contract with the police departments that are identified by FDOT.
How are we doing when it comes to bicycle and pedestrian safety? Are there certain areas that are maybe problem spots for us, or?
Intersections are the biggest problem on both sides of the coin. You have the motorists who aren't coming to a stop on a red light before they make a right turn. They're just making a right turn on red without stopping. They're not looking in the crosswalks. They're not looking at the corner to see if somebody's about to step off. And then you have the bicycles and pedestrians that aren't taking the time to hit the manual button to get the crossing symbol.
So it's a lot of people who are not paying attention, both either on the driver's side or the pedestrian side, and they're kind of moving before they should. People
in too much of a hurry and not paying attention, and not doing taking the time to do due care to look out for others.
Is some of that due to people kind of being on their phones too much, or is it more just you think people are more in a hurry typically when you see these things occur?
Typically it's more in a hurry. We do see people on their phones, not as much as we saw before. It's just, how can they get through this intersection? They don't want to be held up by a red light. They don't want anybody, to inconvenience them, whether it's the bicycle, pedestrian, or the car.
When you do this campaign, I know you probably don't want to say exactly where you're going to be, but do you identify maybe those problem spots and that's kind of where you station around, or is it something where you rotate throughout the city? How do you determine where to put your guys?
Well, this particular contract, the times and locations are actually based off of those crash stats, and FDOT or IPTM actually tells us where we have to be and the times that we're allowed to do it. So we can't just go citywide and go wherever we want. I think this year, there's 5 or 6 locations put up by FDOT, and there's certain times. So it could only be, one location could be on a Saturday between 8 and 4 p.m. And again, that's based off of there was most likely a crash at that location in the past.
So what you're seeing from your experience, does it vary, or do you see more crashes maybe on the weekends, in the morning, around the school time, or is there kind of any common denominator that you're noticing when it comes to those?
It doesn't really matter weekend or weekday. It's just usually when there's higher volumes of traffic, morning, late afternoon, things can get congested.
So those rush hour moments is kind of when you're seeing it.
Yeah, pretty much.
And how long is this campaign going on for? I know it started like October 2nd. Is it going through the rest of this month, November? How long will you be doing?
This contract goes through May.
Okay, so you're going to be doing this for the next several months, kind of out there at these various locations.
Yeah, we're allotted a certain amount of money for overtime details. So outside of our regular work shifts, we either stay late and work, or we'll come in on weekends or come in on our days off.
And when you guys pull somebody over, whether it's the pedestrian crossing or the driver, what is the goal there? What are you hoping to get from them or teach them?
Trying to get them to acknowledge that they've done something that violates statute, get them to recognize that, yeah, I am lucky that there was no pedestrian there. Or, yeah, I am lucky there was no car coming when I ran across the street without looking. And just to kind of remind everybody how dangerous it is, and just to take an extra few seconds. Because, I mean, a few seconds of looking down or a few seconds of not stopping for that red light before you turn red, or just running a red light in general and hurting or, God forbid, killing somebody, it could happen in seconds and change everybody's life.
And I know you mentioned earlier that kind of the common thing you're seeing is people either on the driver's side or walking, just going to those spots too quickly. They're making that turn before they check, or stepping on the crosswalk before they check. Are there other common things you're seeing at that you want drivers and pedestrians to be aware of that when it comes to traffic rules?
Just slow down. Be aware. Pedestrian signals, not all pedestrian signals are automatic, right? You'll never get the symbol to cross the street when traffic is going across that crosswalk. A lot of our traffic signals, you actually have to push the manual button. And the reason that is because a lot of the intersections doesn't have pedestrian traffic all the time. So, Volusia County Traffic Engineering, or FDOT, they don't want traffic flow to get held up. They want it to be efficient. So all the timing of all the lights is set. And the only thing that would disrupt that is when a pedestrian comes up and hits that button. Then, of course, it changes to make it safe for them to get across the street. But yeah, just looking out for each other, looking out for yourself, limit the distractions, and just take so it takes you an extra minute or two to get to your destination,
And you've done this campaign for a couple of years now. From what you've seen, how successful has it been? What's been the benefit from it?
The benefit is just the education, and the word of mouth. I see on website or social media, the police are out here again, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, we're out there for a reason. We also give away free bike lights, because that's another issue. We get a lot of bicyclists that don't have bike lights. They're provided by FDOT. We give them out for free. So we'll stop people, not just for violations, but we'll just stop them. Or not stop them, but we pull up, hey, you don't have any lights on your bike. We don't want to give you a ticket. By the way, here's a free set of lights. And we'll help them, we'll help put them on. They're ready to go when we hand them to you. They have batteries. And we'll help them do that.
I know you mentioned bikes there. Are e-bikes something that will be part of this campaign too, or is this something separate? Because I know that's kind of been this new phenomenon. You're seeing all these cities and counties across the state now kind of enacting these new rules when it comes to e-bikes. Right. Just for people who may not be aware, kind of what are the rules here in Port Orange when it comes to an e-bike versus a motorbike or one of those high-speed bikes that may be out there?
Well, an e-bike is a bicycle. An e-bike has to have pedals. An e-bike is electric, battery operated, hence the E. There's 3 classes in Florida. Class 1, 2, and 3. They're based off of speeds, and they're based off of human power as opposed to just battery power itself. The most important thing is an e-bike class 3 can't go any faster than 28 miles per hour, which for a sidewalk is still fast. We don't have any rules that say you can't ride a bike or an e-bike on the sidewalk. Sometimes we encourage it because shoulders are narrow on some roads. There's too many cars, people not paying attention. If there's not a lot of pedestrians, then right now, please use the sidewalk if it's safer. The only thing in the caveat that comes with that is if there is pedestrians, then you have to yield to the pedestrians as a bicyclist. E-bikes, the problem with e-bikes that we're having, and as you said, there's a big problem with them right now, is the technology of the manufacturers is outpacing the state statutes. So it used to be 10, 15 years ago, e-bikes, the most powerful you could get, and it goes by wattage, was 750 watts. Well, nowadays there's e-bikes that exceed that. They exceed 1,000 watts or 1,200 watts. Well, according to state statutes, it's no longer an e-bike when it gets over 750 watts or it lacks pedals. So if you go over 750 watts, you then are classified as a moped. A moped under state statute does not have to. A lot of people think a moped is just gas-powered or combustion engine. That's not true. It can also be electric. There's limitations on that as well. A moped can't go faster than 30 miles per hour, and it can't have any more than 2 horsepower. So the 2 horsepower converts to 1,500 watts. So if you have an e-bike with pedals, and it has 1,600 watts of power, you're now no longer classified as a moped. You are actually can be classified as a motorcycle. And that's what a lot of people aren't aware of, and that's why I think the state statutes need to be updated, because as we know, with phones and everything else, technology changes day to day. And they're not, it's not going to slow down anytime soon. The other major problem we're having right now is what are actually electric off-road dirt bikes, or you think of motocross, that's exactly what they look like. A lot of people are confused and think these are e-bikes. They're not e-bikes because they have no pedals. They're manufactured for off-road use only. And generally, their wattage is anywhere between 3,000 and 5,000 to 6,000 watts. 3,000 watt bike can go almost 50 miles per hour, and a 5,000 or 6,000 watt electric dirt bike can get up to 80 miles an hour. That is really concerning for them riding them on the streets and sidewalks. If it's on the street, it's classified as a motorcycle. You got to have a motorcycle. And here's the problem though. You can't register them because they're manufactured for off-road use only. You cannot get a tag in the state of Florida. You can only ride them legally on private property. What we're running into is there's parents that are purchasing them for their kids. They're trying to ride them to school. They're zipping around the neighborhoods. There's zipping down the walking paths, Central Park specifically. We get a lot of reports of them down there. They're not yielding to pedestrians. They don't care. And a lot of people are concerned. And right now, there's a lot of uproar about it. Right now, there's no such thing as a speed limit on a sidewalk. Okay, but I do see that coming in the future if the statutes don't change to address these faster bikes. Like I said, they can only be on private property. Take them to Ocala, to the National Forest, to the OHV trails, or to, you have a friend that has 30 acres. That's what it's for. They're way too dangerous. And we're encountering middle school age kids with no helmets. They're going down the sidewalks of over 30 miles an hour or faster. They're going down the street, through neighborhoods, riding wheelies. And it's just a matter of time before somebody gets hurt. They're either going to hit a pedestrian and they're seriously going to get injured, or the child themselves is going to get injured.
So if I'm a parent and I want to buy an e-bike for my child, what advice would you give me? What should I be looking for to make sure that I'm purchasing an e-bike and not something else that's been modified?
I would say you need to do your due diligence. You need to research. Don't believe the first thing you Google. Actually look at the state statutes. Look at a reputable website. There's a lot of e-bike websites that I myself find very reputable. They match state statute and they seem to know what they're talking about. They do their due diligence also so they can have all their people have the right information. And you can always call the traffic office. Myself and my officers are all educated on e-bikes, off highway motorcycles, everything. And I can tell you the traffic unit, especially this year with all our complaints, we have not received one call in the traffic unit from any parent asking us these questions. And when we ask them, like, hey, they'll argue with us, hey, well, where'd you get the information? Well, such and such told me it's legal, or the internet told me it's legal. Okay, well, you can't believe everything you read on the internet, and that's the problem. Did you call the police department, specifically the traffic unit? That's what we do. Well, no, we didn't do that. And they want to argue that it's an e-bike. And I was like, okay, well, did you read the owner's manual? Well, yeah, of course I did. And you read the website? Yes. Okay, well, then I looked the bike up for them. Is this the bike? Yes. And then I show them on the website and in the owner's manual where it says manufactured for off-road use only.
Is there an age limit when it comes to e-bikes versus the high-speed bikes?
It's the same rules that apply to a bicycle that would apply to a legal e-bike. Is a 16-year-old got to have the helmet.
You have to treat that like you would with a bicycle.
Yes, as long as it's an e-bike that falls within statute, the class 1, 2, and 3, yeah, it'd be treated the same as a bicycle.
So you got to wear the helmet. You can be on the sidewalk or in those bike lanes there.
Right. Yeah, you either got to be in a bike lane or you got to be on the right-hand edge of the roadway. If you're in the roadway, you got to buy all the traffic laws. If you're on the sidewalk, it's all the pedestrian laws. We get e-bikes or bicycles that'll be at the stop bar on that right-hand edge of the roadway in the road, and they'll go through a red traffic light. Well, guess what? Now you can just get the same $264 ticket as the F-150 that was sitting next to you at that red light. So that's what they don't understand.
But with those motorized bikes, the high-speed ones you're talking about, those are basically, you got to use those off-roads for the way the statutes are.
Off-road use only.
No sidewalks, no roads for those.
Yeah, the scary thing with them is 9 times out of 10, they're riding them without a care. And they're zipping across driveways. They're zipping across side streets. They're zipping across, entrances to plazas and businesses without even looking for cars. And you pull up to an exit of a plaza or a store or even your own driveway, and you stop legally at the stop bar. You look both ways. You don't see anybody. You might have a little obstruction, so the law says you can pull forward if it's clear and take a second look. Well, you go to pull forward to take that second look, and then all of a sudden there's an e-bike that slams the front of your car at 42 miles an hour. I mean, that's not what the sidewalks are designed for. They're designed for much slower, 28 miles an hour or less. So that's what we're running into. That's the kind of accidents we're having. It's not always a car hitting the bicycle. It's the bicycle hitting the side of the car.
So the best thing parents can do if they have questions is just call your office there and kind of you guys can explain to them exactly what the rules are, whether or not what they've purchased is actually an e-bike or not, and they can kind of learn the actual rules.
And what it is they're spending $5,000 or more dollars for these motor-based off-road motorcycles, and then they find out it's illegal. And after the child gets a warning, we're towing it, and then we're citing them. So not only do they have to pay the tow and prove that they have ownership, hopefully they still have the receipt to get their get the motorcycle back. Now the child also has a citation, and which can affect them when they turn 16 and apply for their learner's permit. If they don't take care of it properly, their license will automatically be suspended for 6 months.
Do you need a license to drive one of those higher speed vehicles, like a dirt bike or anything like that? Is there a requirement to have? Or
No, it's not
off road. There's no.
Yeah, it's not supposed to be on the road at all.
So no, it doesn't have to follow regular motor vehicle laws because that's an off road vehicle.
Now, if you're out there on a roadway and say you run a stop sign, you can get a ticket for that stop sign.
So if I take my high speed bike and I go on the road and I'm not following the rules of the road, I'm going to get the same tickets as the truck or the car.
You ride a wheelie down the road, you can get a ticket. You run a red light, stop sign. All that, yes, you can get tickets for that.
Now, another thing I've noticed that's kind of become very popular lately has been golf carts. Can those be on sidewalks, on roads? What are the rules when it comes to golf carts?
So golf carts are a little bit different. So golf carts are not legal anywhere in the city except for on private property. That could either be your private street or that could be a private community. You have like Crane Lakes, the older community. We have Cypress Head, which just finally got designated as a golf cart community. I've been trying to get them to petition the city for years, and you're allowed to ride them in there. So golf carts can't be on the sidewalks unless you're in a community. So, they can't be on the streets, public streets, anywhere else. And then what we have is what we call, or the state calls, low-speed vehicles, which is simply a golf cart that has all the extra added equipment added to it. So turn signals, headlights, tail lights. You have to have it registered with the state as a low-speed vehicle. If it is registered as an LSV, low-speed vehicle, you got to have seatbelts. Everybody's got to have seatbelts. You got to have insurance. You got to have a driver's license. You can operate that on a road that is posted at 35 miles per hour or less. Okay. You cannot have that on any sidewalk. They're illegal on sidewalks. Problem with that is, or problem that I have with that is we have parents that like to pick up their children from an elementary school. And a lot of these golf carts have, in the rear seats are facing backwards. So now you're facing the cars that are following behind you. Your child's back there. And even though they have a seatbelt, they have a thin, square inch little tubular bumper. We all know what a golf cart looks like, protecting them from that car that could possibly rear end them at the next time they slow down the turn or the next stop sign. They're dangerous. They shouldn't be on the road. Especially, with the children in there. But if you're going to do it, get it registered as a low-speed vehicle, abide by all the regulations, which, again, we can help them out with. We have a brochure that we hand out in the lobby of the PD. And as long as they stay on roadways posted at 35 miles per hour or less, they're legally allowed to operate on there.
Appreciate it, Sergeant. Anything else you think people should know about e-bikes, low-speed vehicles, golf carts?
No, other than do your due diligence, do your research. If you're not sure, you can always call the traffic unit.
What's the number for that for people?
That would be 386-506-5838, or you can call the 506-5800 for the main line, and they'll transfer you.
And just ask whatever question you have, or leave a message, and you'll get back to them. And just
leave their name. If we don't answer, leave your name, number, what you're calling about, and we'll make sure we get the right information to you.
All right, thanks, Sergeant. And Mick, take us on out.